So the reason why I had listened to OutKast again was because I kept reading all these articles suggesting that Rae Sremmurd was the new OutKast. Uh, Rae Sremmurd, Sway Lee and Slim Jim. I had not really listened to their music that much. I'm familiar with Black Beatles. I've actually seen them in a music festival, but I didn't know their music. I know one of them fell off the stage or something and broke his leg or something. But I was reading all this stuff and I looked at the album cover of their new thing, Shrem Life, and lo and behold, they kind of copy the aesthetic and structural style of OutKast 2004, Grammy award-winning speaker box, The Love Below, which was actually the first OutKast album I listened to. And when I saw the cover, I'm like, they're definitely trying to, replicate some kind of, OutKast-y feel, and they have the thing where they have Slim Jim has one album, Sway Lee has one album, and they have like a album together. Whilst Speaker Box, Love Below was just a double album. Anyway, so that was the kind of context of me wanting to listen to OutKast's music, was because, well, everyone's saying they're the new OutKast. Maybe I'll listen to OutKast first, and then I'll give Shrem Life a shot. Before I get into the whole thing, I actually didn't listen to the solo albums. I didn't listen to Shrem Life because it's just way too long, and I wanted to really just focus on one of them. As you can maybe tell from the other videos I have on my channel, I am someone who tries my best to diversify my listening in terms of music and my movies and film and all this stuff, reading books. I try my best to see as many different kinds of art as I can without necessarily criticizing it, because I think I personally have an issue with the critical assessment of art personally, because I think that mostly what ends up happening is that the critic or the reviewer has a kind of box of sorts of what they deem to be the qualities of great art, or of course some people consider context as well, but then they kind of fit the piece of work into their box, and then they criticize the parts outside the box, and they give suggestions. It's more like they give suggestions to what they would rather have done, or all this stuff. I also felt like this very strongly before. I was very into reading reviews. I do still like reading reviews, but I was very for a very long time I would look at music reviews and look at the score as the ends of sorts, as opposed to a means to the qualitative aspects of the review. So I'd always just look at the number. And I realized later on that music has different purposes. They're made for different kinds of things, and they all try to do different things. And it's hard to really objectively qualify everything, or quantifiably assess everything in a kind of linear scale that everyone can kind of attach meaning to. Which is why I don't have those number reviews. But anyway, sorry. That's a bit of a digression. The reason why I bring it up is because I think Shrem Life is not very well critically received. Which I try my best whenever I listen to something new. I try to just not think about that stuff. I try to be as neutral going into an album as I can. Obviously that's impossible, but anyway, so I play the album Shrem, I think is what it's called, their third album, and I am pretty how do I say this? It's not OutKast. It's definitely not in any way close to OutKast at all. The only thing they have in common is the album cover and the fact that they're a duo. The music is so different. Obviously, it's this kind of genres are also difficult to kind of talk about. But if I were to classify it into some kind of genre, it's very much like trap-ish, pop rap, pop trap. Is that even a thing? I don't know. But it's very poppy, very in a way that I feel like for a very long time I was very hesitant to getting into the trap rap genre, because I had this very, perhaps elitist perspective on what kind of music, what music should be. I was comparing things to Kendrick Lamar. I was thinking or even just the old hip hop of the people who were. I was thinking everyone, you can compare these early 20s, late teens music to the early 90s and late 80s when you have De La Soul, Tribe Called Quest, B.I.G. They were as young as the XXX Tentacion is right now. So I feel like there can be kind of direct comparison. And I was complaining about their lack of lyricism, but it's a different kind of music. And what I really appreciated about Shrem was that I felt like it genuinely felt like a new sound. It felt I felt like there was actually a kind of unique quality to the music that was specific to Rae Sremmurd. Perhaps I'm just very unfamiliar with their influences, and I'm not very well versed in just trap rap in general or pop, whatever. But I found that it felt very original. It sounded very unique. I was listening to it and found a lot of it quite enjoyable. It didn't take itself too seriously, but I was surprised by how much fun I had. The problem with making these videos, I don't have I wish I had my laptop with me. I would be able to kind of access song titles, because the things I listen to the album straight. I don't really kind of look at song titles too much, but so I wish I had a computer with me to kind of be easier for me to get information. I do remember one song I really liked, Power Glide, which I feel like if the same me last year would have condescended on and thought it was like brainless music, which maybe to some extent it kind of is, but that doesn't make it bad. It is. It's more. It's less thinking, more sensational. It's more feeling. It's more in the club, expressing through your body and making you dance, making you, get excited and hyped up. Power Glide, I forgot who was Juicy J maybe. But I really like that song. So the thing is, it may not be the kind of music I would normally listen to, but if you go into it with an open mind, and you try to just appreciate what makes it stand out from other things, and you realize that to a certain degree it's not really about lyricism. It's just to the same extent that maybe music by Tupac was or something, but they do their own thing and they have fun doing their own thing, and they have lots of fans and many people enjoy the music. I don't think it's necessarily useful in any way to kind of just shit on all of them because they're they're not conscious hip hop. So yeah, I'm a big fan of actually I don't want to say a big fan. I'm a fan of it. I'm a fan of what they're going for, and I do like some of the songs. I think some of them are pretty fun, and I think if ever you try to listen to it, just go into it with an open mind, and you will have fun, I think. And it's very short. It's like 30-something minutes. I mean, obviously I didn't listen to the whole triple album, but maybe I will at some point. Personally, I prefer OutKast. I think the production is so vibrant, and their lyricism, just how much they care about what they're saying is. I think that's what it is. I think the reason why I like OutKast more is because they think, and music with more lyricism is because it feels like they care more about the message or what they're trying to say. Here it seems like right now the trend is to appeal to a kind of vibe as opposed to a kind of message, which I don't think is necessarily worse, but Rae Sremmurd, Shrem, I thought it was fun. I occasionally listen to Power Glide once in a while, but yeah, I go into it with an open mind and try to just be empathetic, I think, to the people who enjoy it, and you'll be able to see why they do like it, and it's it is pretty fun.